Hello to all our dear students. Welcome to the Bajirao IS Academy. Today is 20th December and we are going to discuss the daily Hindu newspaper analysis. So in today's session, we are going to discuss three important issues. The first one is related to the regulation of net world. It is simply related to the Telecommunication Bill 2023 which was introduced recently in Lok Sabha. So we will discuss about the provision, the challenges and how this is going to promote ease of doing business in India. Then further, we will shift to the second article where we will discuss about the high fat, sugar, salt content food and how it is damaging the health of the youth of the population in India and how we can regulate it. Then further, we will be having the last article of yesterday's section because yesterday we didn't discuss it. But in UPSC syllabus, there is a direct mention of this topic that is left wing extremism. So we all are going to discuss about this issue. Specifically, it is related to Maoism in certain states and the district of India and how we can promote the grassroots democracy in these regions. Okay, so the lecture series is going to be much more enjoyable. Please do participate, and also if you are new to our channel, please do like, share and subscribe. So let's start with our session, and the first article we can relate with GS paper 3. So when we talk about telecommunication, tell me what do you mean by it? Yes, you thought it right. Telecommunication means distant communication. It is not the physical to physical contact. It is like you are contacting with the mobile phone, a smartphone from one location to another location. So that is the telecommunication. And it can have the satellite communication as well. So this is the thing. Hence, to regulate it, to ensure that ease of doing business in this telecom sector be promoted, the government brought this telecommunication bill 2023. And do you know how much older was earlier the telecommunication regulatory bills and provisions? It was like we was regulated via India Telegraph Act 1885, so that is like British era regulation. Apart from that, the Indian Wireless Telegraphy Act 1993, Telegraph Wires Unlawful Possession Act 1950. So look at these acts. These are very old. And look at the challenges of the present time. It is very much increasing with related to the cyber threat, with related to the data breach issue. So that's why we need modernized regulation. Hence, this bill is going to repeal all these acts, and also it will amend the power of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act 1997 as well. But what reform will this bill is going to do? First of all, they will simplify the bureaucratic procedure so that the applicants can get the license in a easier mode, like digital application form should be there so that quick approval of the license can be done. Apart from that, there can be the provision of dispute resolution if there is a conflict between private and public property while inserting optical fiber networks or like cabling the infrastructure. So this will be the main provision. And apart from that, there are certain provisions which will like promote ease of doing business, which will promote the interest of the consumer as well, like simplified licensing, a spectrum relief for satellite internet. Now you have to understand that traditionally we have the telecom operators, like when we talk about Geo, Vodafone Idea, Airtel. So these are telecom operator and they provides you mobile network via which you can connect. But there is a tower which is established on the ground. But when we talk about satellite internet, so it is like a satellite will be in the space, and via that the satellite communication will be there from the ground. The communication data will be sent to the satellite, and then it will come to the another person which is located in the far area. So the satellite internet is much good in the region where these tower infrastructure are not get established because of the difficult terrain, geographical barrier, remote location. So here the satellite internet becomes very important. So what reform will be there in this scenario, that only administrative allocation will be needed, will be provided instead of auctions. Auctions is done in the spectrum. Okay, but here the provision of auction is not there. Auction is simply means bidding, boli lagana. The highest bidder will get the the project. Okay, so that will be the one thing. And apart from that, regulatory ease for the operators, and also it will improve the business environment as well. So there will be various potential benefit like bridging the digital divide. Now you should understand what do you mean by digital divide. Suppose we have the map of India, okay? We have many map, and we have certain location, like here it is Mumbai, it is Delhi here, and it is like Kolkata here, it is like Chennai, Bangalore. So when we connect this location, no, so these locations have hi-fi internet, high facility of communication, no network issue. But when we go to the periphery, to the internal region of this location, okay, like rural area, rural village, remote area, so we have the communication crisis, we have the internet crisis, we have the data crisis. So we need to address it. So if more and more towers will be established, if satellite internets get promoted, so definitely the divide between urban area versus rural area in accessing the internet, in accessing the quality network, will be like eliminated or minimized. So that is the meaning of digital divide. And kindly remember this word more clearly, because UPSC too loves these keywords and you should insert in your mains answer writing. And apart from that, it will boost the telecom growth, and also the efficiency gains will be there because quick approval, quick licensing, and less bureaucratic hurdles will be there. So that will promote directly, indirectly the benefit to the telecom operator, also the benefit to the consumers, right? So now when we talk about the benefits, there are concerns as well. So these concerns should be addressed in this bill. So there is a suggestion, because this is in the initial stage, so some of the suggestions can be put it, can be inserted, so that there should be a comprehensive outcome of this bill. So like in this bill, there is an expanded definition of telecom. So telecom will have a wider meaning here, but this can lead to privacy and surveillance concern. That means a state can put more surveillance on the people. So that is the one concern. And apart from this, there is increasing trend of shutdowns, internet shutdowns as well. But this bill do not address these contentious issue related to these practices. And apart from that, there is a transparency concern as well, because earlier the draft bill was not given wider public consultation or the public scrutiny. So the comprehensive need and the comprehensive debate and discussion should be promoted, and that's why there is a recommendations, there is a suggestion that this bill should address the privacy concern, the transparent rule making should be there, and this should be made as comprehensive legislation, so that the critical issue like internet shutdown, the data protection issue must be handled, because we know that whatever we are putting our data on the internet, they are being monitored, they are being regulated, and they can be used by the third party, even by the government, for spying, for tracking our behavior, and putting various concerns related to the privacy. So hope you understood this concept in detail, and tell me some of the suggestion. What do you suggest in this bill? Suppose you are like a member of parliament, you want to suggest some important changes or ideas in this bill. Tell me, what suggestions can you give to the government? Now we are shifting to the second article, and it is related to the high fat, salt, sugar content food. So understand what do you mean by high fat, salt, sugar content food. So break down it. When we break down, simply it represents the food culture that is dominated by high fat content, and apart from that the high sugar content and high salt content. Now if you understood, try to gain experience from your public life. Like you goes to the hotel, you just buy the chocolates, you just buy the bakery, the cakes and momos, the Delhi's and Northeast favorite like fast food item. So these are like fast food, they do have the high salt. Okay, and when we talk about chocolate chips, so they have also sugar content. So when we talk about these foods or the food culture, what is happening? That this is increasing the non-communicable disease burden in India, and that have a negative repercussions on the health of the people in India. And we are saying that there is an increasing incident of heart attack not among the older population but amongst the youth. So can you believe that how the youth which is in the age of 20s or 30s can get an heart attack? So this is all can be related to the dietary pattern, the dietary plans of the people or the population. So that is the main meaning of high fat, salt, sugar foods. And apart from that, there is other concerns like this increases the obesity, the diabetes, and also high blood pressure. So these are like health concerns. And do you know what do you mean by obesity? Like motapan. Okay, so that is not a good thing because it can affect the productivity of the people or the population. And we have very serious data to quote something like according to the World Bank 2019 report, there is rising non-communicable disease burden in India, and it is like 65% of the total disease burden. We have the non-communicable disease burden. So what I am trying to make you learn here, that when we talk about non-communicable disease burden, what do you mean by it? Like it cannot be like spread people to people. Okay, but one important thing regarding the NCD is that this can be like existing life longer till the end of the life of the people. So let's say when we talk about diabetes, so if a person gets diabetes, gets affected by diabetes, so he or she has to take medications, the medicine till his or her last breath. So it like impacts the economic incentive of the population, the family, the productivity, the efficiency. So this is the bigger dilemma that Indian population is facing nowadays. And what other concern is being highlighted, that this is mostly seen in the population of low and middle income country. Like 70% of all overweight and obese people live in low and middle income country, with a 55% rise in rural area. That is also a concern, that in rural area the consumption of these products is very less. But what we are seeing, with the availability of internet and with the availability of idea and technology, these food culture is also visiting to the rural area, and people in rural area, because of lack of awareness, they are started to consume these products. And do you remember, do you can link that in rural area, let's say people gets damaged due to this type of disease, so how much economic and social burden can occur in their family, because there is no proper hospital, there is no proper doctors. So this can increase the burden, disease burden on Indian population, on the government as well. So that's why we need to tackle it. And apart from that, the non-communicable disease burden in India has skyrocketed from 38% in 1990 to 65% in 2019, causing annually 1.2 million deaths in India. That means per year 12 lakh population dies. So there is an economic impact of $23 billion in 2017, and it can reach up to $480 billion by 2060 if this trend will continue. Okay, so that's why reform is needed. And how we can do reform? We can do reform via taxation. So when we talk about taxation, on which product? On these product, like this is high fat, sugar and salt product. So what we see that these products are available very cheaply, so people gets attracted because these type of food has attraction in them. So people gets attracted and people try to eat, even they try to avoid it. Okay, so what the government here can do and what the other developed and developing nation are doing, like they are making these products more costlier by putting the taxation. So this can be suggested in India's scenario as well, because globally we are seeing that France, Mexico, South Africa, UK, US, they are trying to impose high taxation on these products. And apart from that, you can quote the example of Colombia junk food law. Okay, right? So why the government should impose these tax? Because the markets, the businesses are not focusing on the health of the people. They're like just promoting their profit, they're just like promoting their business, and this is causing negative externalities as well. Now what do you mean by negative externalities? Here you can understand with an example, and UPSC did ask in the prelims question about it. Like if a person smokes, okay, so the person who do not smoke but he or she just standing side of that people, so the smoke can affect their health as well, despite he or she not addicted to smoke. So this is the negative externality. So this is the externalities, and the person which is standing side, they are like getting affected. So this is the negative externalities. Okay, so like cigarette, we can have these food products, the fast food products, they can also have negative externality, because if a person gets like disease, okay, like diabetes, so the family members will also be getting affected, the health burden on the government will also be getting increased. So that is the connection here, and hope you understood. And apart from that, there can be the increased economic burden on the family members, on the society, and as well as on the government. And apart from that, there is internalities as well, like consumers limited understanding, and there is a aggressive marketing. Look, on certain advertisement platform, like you are watching YouTube, and there suddenly the advertisement of food product comes, and how the way they advertise, they influence your mind, so that you can go, you can just order from your mobile phone and the food will be delivered to you instantly. So these are like affecting our psychology as well. So try to understand this perspective. So we need to have a designing of right tax related to this ultra fast food products that contains high sugar, salt, fat. But there is a provision that needs to be addressed, like it should not be treated primarily for revenue generation. Let's say from this taxation some revenue comes, so this should be invested in subsidizing the company, so that these company can make better quality food. Okay, so that public health should be boosted. And apart from that, there should be differentiated tax rate based on nutritional quality, and there should be GST system, that is the goods and services tax system, with tiered rate. Okay, so that we can encourage the people to have a healthy choice in the food plate that they eat. Okay, so what the conclusion here? That combined approach is needed, where taxation, nutritional literacy, effective food labeling, should be promoted in India, and for that policy makers needs to be well alert and should have a political will or will to implement this well designed tax policy. And apart from that, there is a responsibility of the industry as well, so that they can promote healthier options of food, and there is a responsibility of the consumer as well, so that they can make informed choice, because the consumer have the choice to decide which product he or she can buy. They are not bounded to buy that product. Okay, so be aware, make informed choice, advocate for health promoting policy, and for that, collective action is needed so that we can create a sustainable and equitable food system. So that's the end of the article. And tell me that how other ways, tell me some other ways where we can like make in to this type of food system from the habit of the younger population, because these food system are mostly consumed by the younger population, the population in the 20s and the 30s. Okay, so tell me some important suggestion here as well. Now we are shifting to the third article, and this is very very important because directly it is related to the UPSC main syllabus, and UPSC did ask in the UPSC mains question about this left wing extremism, and you can relate with the internal security as well. So first of all, we will understand what do you mean by Maoism, how this philosophy come, and how this philosophy and what this philosophy talks about. So when we talk about Maoism, so it's a ideology. It can be called as political or the political socio ideology, which was developed by Mao Zedong. Okay, and what this doctrine says that capture the state power, eliminate the state power or the government via armed insurgency, mass mobilization of the people, and via strategic alliance. So it wants the end of the responsible government or the authority, and just this population wants to rule, wants to dominate. Okay, and for that they use propaganda of disinformation. They also try to make the people fearful. Okay, so this is their doctrine. And in India, historically, in various state of India or the district, we faced the issue of Maoism or the left wing extremism, and we have some important state where these type of crisis do occurs, and that's why these region face developmental crisis. But now the situation is improving and we are doing better. The government is like interfering to end these type of extremism from India, and once this type of internal security disturbance gets in, automatically the development will prevail, the grassroots democracy will prevail. But some time will be taken, and definitely in the coming time the solution will be there. Okay, so that's the thing, and here our main focus will be on the Chhattisgarh, because Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, they are mostly affected by this left wing extremism or the Maoism. And specifically when we talk about Chhattisgarh, so there is a region like Bastar, okay, and the southern part of the Chhattisgarh, these are affected by the Maoist philosophy, Maoist like insurgency. And that's why we have seen that in the recent election, apart from various population that can participate in the Bastar district, but the participation of voters in this area was very less. Let's say we can say have a data like voter turnout was as low as 3 to 4% in Bijapur and Konta. So like if you try to compare, we have the 100 voters in this district, so only 3 to 4 participated to vote. So why such a low voter turnout? So there can be the issue like these insurgent people may have created fear among the tribals that if you will vote, I will kill you. Okay, and there can be the disillusionment that if you will vote, then the outsider will come and it can destroy your culture, it can destroy your tradition. So These are the strategy that are promoted by this ideology. Okay, and that's why the voter turnout was very less. But we need to have a reform here. What reform can we do? Like tribal empowerment through democratic participation, and slowly we are like trying to ease the influence of Maoism or the Maoist philosophy in this region. Okay, and let's say one important story here. What the Maoist population do, like they set up the parallel government. Okay, and that parallel government is known as Jantana Sarkar. And via this parallel government, they try to promote education, health, security, but try to analyze that if this Janatana Sarkar was good, then the level of education, the level of health facility, the security should be at most like a rising star in this district. But that is not the case. So that's why we need to have a solution for this. Okay, and we need to address it. And for that, what we have to do, like tribal awareness, and via this tribal awareness, we can empower these people. Like we have the Pathal Gadi movement in history, and this Pathal Gadi movement was started by the tribal population itself, and they demanded for dignity. Okay, this was initiated in Khunti district of Jharkhand as a resistance movement to assert their rights. So these type of things needs to be like promoted so that they can be aware, they can strengthen their rights and their dignity. And apart from that, there is another issue like the PESA Act. When we talk about PESA Act, it is simply the extension of panchayati services to the tribal area. Okay, so when we talk about the implementation of this PESA Act, it was not fully implemented. Okay, and that's why its impact to provide decentralized democracy, to provide grassroots democracy, was not very much sure, was not very much dominated. And that's why the domination of the mouse is there, but not the domination of the decentralized or the grassroots leadership. So we need to nurture the tribal leadership. That is the key to the sustainable solution. And apart from providing security to the population of the tribals here, we need to build the grassroots democracies so that these people can tackle their security by themselves, and also they can progress truly. Okay, so that is the thing, and that needs to be done. So a call to action is needed where engagement among the tribals to promote grassroots democracy needs to be done so that we can break the cycle of this Maoist philosophy, ideology, and they can surrender in the coming future. And we are seeing that these people are surrendering because they have no option. Because now, slowly, awareness among the tribal population is increasing that violence do not have any solution. So come to the main path, come to the good path, come to the path of non-violence, and then the development will happen. So there is a comprehensive approach that is needed to address the social, economic, and political needs, and there is a need of decentralized governance and tribal leadership as well. So that's the end of the session, friend, and hope you enjoyed this lecture series. And we will discuss next short of article tomorrow. But we have a question for you. Try to pause the video and solve the question. This is related to science and technology, and you know that UPSC do ask lots of question, application based question in the section of science and technology, and try to give your answer in the chat box. So thank you friends. Bye bye.